Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Ball. Our topic today is social media for business. Please welcome my next guest. It's Ken Ashley. Ken is with Cushman Wakefield. He's executive director there. His practice focuses on representing office tenants, and Ken Ashley has been a real leader in social media in the commercial real estate industry. Ken, thanks for joining us here today in Studio One.
Good to be here.
Well, we appreciate having you on. And Ken, my first question for you is why has commercial real estate been so slow to adopt to social media in general? It seems like residential real estate was on the bandwagon a long time ago. A lot of businesses have. Why has commercial real estate been a lagger in the industry?
Well, it's a fair question. I think there are a couple of reasons. First of all, if you think about the way we learn in the commercial business, it's an apprentice model. You bring people into your shop, you train them, you teach them how they should be. Now, in your shop, I'm sure they're all on social media, but in many shops, people who are, I'm 48 years old and I tweet, but not a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. So it is something that people learn in that apprentice model, and so it's going to take a while. The second is, if you think about the market today, people are as busy as they've ever been. They're making a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So if it's working and it ain't broke, why would you need to do anything else? So that has caused a slowness to adopt this, but what will change is that there is a transition, of course, to the much talked about millennial workplace, and their decision making is different. And maybe we can talk more about how people select people in our business going forward, but that's changing as well.
Right. And in commercial real estate, our industry has tended to want to hoard the information, right? It's our information. We're not sharing it.
Right. Well, Laszlo Bock, who is the head of people resources for Google, wrote a fascinating book, which is a New York Times bestseller, called Work Rules. And in his, it's a great read. And in his book, he talks about the concept of defaulting to open. And I think the analogy for that in commercial real estate is, we used to think our templates were private. We used to think our data was private, and then CoStar came along. Mm-hmm. Today it's all like one bicycle, and it doesn't matter that you have a bike, it's how you ride it. So in other words, it's how you use that information in your particular situation. So I think default to open is the paradigm going forward.
Right, open to sharing what you're doing and the information so that you attract followers, so people understand who you are. So when you reach out to them, they go, oh yeah, I know Ken Ashley, right?
Right. True, and people are very sophisticated. They can tell the difference between advertising and between someone who is trying to give through content marketing. And I prefer to think of this whole topic not so much as social media, but as content, really content giving, content sharing. And the social media is the tool. If you're thinking of building a house and you've got this tool chest, you shouldn't be worried about the saw or the tape measure or the hammer. You should be worried about the plans and what you're going to build with it. And people tend to get confused. They're focused on social media, these tools, this tool chest. How do I use Twitter? How do I use LinkedIn? We'll get there. But focus first on what you're trying to build.
Right. What's the plan? What do you want to do with your social media platform, right?
Right.
And let's talk about return on investment of some of the social media platforms. So in the commercial real estate industry, which platforms do you think, will give you the most return?
Yeah. Well, you got to make a commitment to put your toe in the water on any platform first. Traditionally and conventionally, LinkedIn has been the place where most executives spend time hanging out. Mm-hmm. But Twitter is rapidly evolving as a source for news and a source where many of the millennial people seem to want to spend their time. Mm-hmm. So I would probably start with making sure your LinkedIn profile is up and running. Mm-hmm. The basic is just Google yourself and see what is said about yourself online.
Right. See what your Google juice is, right?
Right.
Right. And it's interesting you mentioned Twitter, because I was looking for some news on a certain topic a few weeks ago. I was Googling it, couldn't find it. Went to Twitter, found it immediately.
Right.
So things can get out there very quickly in Twitter, can't they? And then like I follow you, and I follow a lot of the commercial real estate leaders and writers, and I learn a lot. So I can be sitting there and enjoying a adult beverage on my dock and follow you guys, and all of a sudden I'm reading something from the New York Times or
Right.
from the Atlanta Business Chronicle or something that's really adding value and knowledge to me because you guys are sharing it.
Well, that's an excellent point, and one of my favorite parts about this whole particular space is that it makes us think critically about our industry. So if someone asks you at a cocktail party, how's the market, you've actually thought about it instead of just making it up, because you've probably written a blog or thought about it from that perspective. And that's what I find to be true, is if you spend time studying the questions in advance and thinking about them, and you're promoting that content, then when in real life someone asks you a question, you're ready to respond.
Right, that's a good point. And one of the challenges I hear from people about social media is the time involved. There is a time commitment there. So we're going to have to take a short break. We're going to get back. We're going to talk with Ken some more about some time management strategies to use social media for your benefit. I'm Michael Bull. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. We'll be right back. Xceligent, the resource professionals like CCIMs, CBRE, JLL, Colliers, and Bull Realty use for market intelligence. Commercial Search is the site to market and find available properties to buy, sell, or lease all over the country. Visit commercialsearch.com. Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. Thanks for being with us on one of the 40 radio stations, iTunes, YouTube, or the show website, CREshow.com. Today we're talking about social media for business. My guest is Ken Ashley with Cushman & Wakefield, and Ken's been a big leader in social media in the commercial real estate world. And Ken, one of the challenges that I hear from a lot of people about social media is the time commitment, right? There is a big time commitment. Sometimes it's not the money commitment, it's the time commitment in social media. What are some tips you would provide for folks related to that?
Well, that's a big objection of people participating in this sport, if you will. I guess the first thing is the discipline of the frequency of participating in social media is far more important than spending massive amounts of time. The second thing is I don't tend to watch that much TV, and I consume a lot of my regular media through social media. So I'm spending time there anyway. And I enjoy it. I really do. I enjoy hearing what my friends are doing. I enjoy the whole space. But some strategies to be effective, there are plenty of tools such as a TweetDeck or a Hootsuite where you can pre-schedule the messages that you're going to send. And I tend to send between 3 and 5 messages in social media every day. It's not that much. I mean, there are people who tweet hundreds and hundreds of times a day. That may work for them, but for me that's spam, and for folks that I talk to. And a lot of times, Michael, I'll be on the weekend tooling around, and I'll clip articles and save them and then pre-schedule them throughout the week. Also, I find that I spend, it's sort of a barbell approach. I spend time in the morning and sometimes in the evenings. During the day, I'm taking care of clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are good tips, and I do the same thing. I mean, if you're reading information that's interesting to you, you're probably reading it online today anyway. So if you think that's interesting to your connections in social media, it's easy to hit a button and share it, right? And maybe you're doing the same thing at lunch, maybe you're doing the same thing in the evening, so that's an easy way. And these tools of Hootsuite and these kind of tools, the basic tools are free, right?
All free.
Yeah,
all free. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of cost to it. And I like your point there that consistency is more important than mass, right?
Right.
And it's interesting if you change the consistency. So like I tweet probably the same amount a day, maybe 3 to 5 during the course of a day. Well, I was at an event one day and there was a lot of information. Well, I started tweeting a lot about that event. I noticed a lot of people unfollowing me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, you're spamming me here.
Yeah.
I don't care about that particular event and what you guys are talking about." So I guess if you change your the velocity of your tweets and your whatever you're doing on social media, that can be important.
It can be. Back in elementary school, nobody liked the kid that jumped up and was the first to raise his hand, but everybody likes the thoughtful kid and the kid who contributes when it's appropriate. And people who are following are leading very busy lives, so the idea is to enhance and provide experience, not to spam them.
Yeah. Tell us about a successful social media campaign. What does that entail?
Well, it's a good question. I wouldn't think of my social media as campaigns because that was more of a kind of a marketing push. But the way I approach social media is I first envision whom I'm talking to. Now, I think that I'm talking to CFOs of mid-cap companies between $200 million and $2 billion in sales, annual revenues. I realize that there may be only a few of those, but that's whom I'm talking to, so I've phrased my message. And then the second thing is that I have what I call my four corners. And within the four corners, I'm happy to talk about it. Outside of the four corners, I typically don't. Here they are. Anything having to do with macro commercial real estate on a U.S. level. Nobody cares that you have a sublease in Philadelphia. Congratulations. But, CMBS trends. The second would be anything having to do with technology. Apple had some big announcements recently. Everybody's interested, or many people are interested in how to improve their lives through technology. The third is called management science, and for me that's Harvard Business Review or CFO.com, how to lead your team, how to be a better public speaker, etc. And then finally anything positive. So what's not inside those four corners is anything political, anything religious, and actually sports. Although occasionally, talk about the Masters or the Georgia Bulldogs, because everybody should love the Georgia Bulldogs. But that is how I would define my campaign, which is on an ongoing basis.
Well, I like that. So you understand who you want your audience to be. And so the things you were sharing hopefully will attract that audience. And they're interested in running their business as well. So if you're just tweeting all about commercial real estate all the time, they're going to turn you off because they're not always wanting to hear about commercial real estate. They want to hear about this other things you're talking about, right?
We are not one-dimensional. Any of us are not one-dimensional people. Right. We have other interests than just our professions.
Right. And then some people in your business, you may have a very local audience, right? Your customers may be very local in nature, so you want to keep your comments and your shares really locally based, right?
That's actually that's a good point. And there are friends who write city blogs and who, if I want to know something about city XYZ, I know that individual has everything that's going on. They're the expert in that particular area. There's no 100% right way to do this. My way isn't the right way. It's just my way.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly done a good job, and you've been a leader in the field. And what are some other tips for practitioners? Maybe their own commercial real estate. Maybe they're a developer. Maybe they're in commercial real estate brokerage. What are some other tips for their use of social media to get more business out of it?
Okay. Well, we've talked a lot about talking in social media, but also listening in social media is critical. So if you take that tool we talked about earlier called TweetDeck or Hootsuite, and if you establish, let's say that you're a medical office broker, just making that up, if you would follow those who are in that field, those who are practitioners and leaders in that particular field and what they have to say, that can be a valuable source of information. And also, occasionally people say in social media what their plans are before they announce them.
Absolutely. Listening's always a good tool to have in the tool chest, right? Ken,
Yes,
thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
And we're going to have more on social media strategies, including some corporate strategies to mitigate risk. I'm Michael Bull. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. We'll be right back. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by Bull Realty Commercial Advisors, a great place to do business. Visit bullrealty.com. RealNex, a comprehensive and powerful suite of commercial real estate tools at an incredibly low price. Visit realnex.com. That's RealNex. Xceligent, the resource professionals use for commercial real estate information. Visit xceligent.com. That's XCELIGENT. Commercial Search, the source to market and source available properties for sale or lease. Visit commercialsearch.com. For more information on these great companies or for additional videos, podcasts, or articles, visit CREshow.com.